34 gun rules just got rewritten in a single afternoon. Not over a year, not through some slow committee process. One announcement, 34 changes, and most gun owners have no idea which ones are already law and which ones are still up for grabs. One of these proposals could save married couples over $1,000 and erase a legal headache that's been standard practice for decades. But there's a catch. The window to make sure it actually happens, it's closing in weeks, and almost nobody's talking about it. So which of these 34 changes are locked in right now? Which ones are just promises on paper? And what do you need to do before the clock runs out? Stay right here, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where you stand and exactly what you need to do about it. Let's make this real. This isn't some abstract policy debate happening in a marble building far away. This affects your bank account, your rights, and if you've ever driven through a state line with a suppressor or short-barreled rifle in your trunk, your actual daily life. Your wallet. Setting up a gun trust so you and your spouse can both legally use the same suppressor or SBR, that typically runs you anywhere from $500 to over $1,000 in attorney fees. One of these new proposals could make that trust completely unnecessary for married couples. Your freedom. For years, applying for an NFA item meant your local sheriff got a notification, whether you wanted them to or not. That one's on the chopping block too. And your daily life. If you've ever white-knuckled a road trip because crossing a state line with an NFA firearm meant paperwork approval waits, and the fear that a gas station stop could run into a legal nightmare, there's a proposal aimed straight at that. These aren't hypotheticals, guys. This is your money, your privacy, and your peace of mind on the road. Now, let's talk about how this is being sold to you and what they're leaving out. The official line from the Department of Justice and the ATF is bold. This is, in their words, the most significant modernization of firearms regulations in the agency's history. And to be fair, the logic behind some of this is solid. They're saying these 34 actions came out of a 14-month review, ordered to align outdated rules with current law and recent court decisions. And honestly, some of that's true. The Supreme Court already ruled in 2024 that bump stocks don't meet the legal definition of a machine gun. And the ATF has already issued a final rule fixing that. That part's real, and it's done. So here's the steel man, as strong as I can make it. A new ATF director comes in, reviews decades of regulatory baggage, and moves to roll back rules that were outdated, already struck down in court, or just plain burdensome on law-abiding people. That's a win, and we should say so. Here's what they're not making clear in the press conference sound bites. Out of these 34 actions, only one is fully final law right now. The rest, including the two headline items everybody's excited about, the pistol brace repeal and the NFA paperwork overhaul, are still just proposals, open for public comment, which means they could be watered down, delayed, or quietly dropped depending on what happens next. That distinction matters a lot. Let's break down what's real right now and what's still up in the air. Here's your breakdown, straight from the Federal Register, no spin. Right now, only one piece of this entire package is fully final and locked in law, the bump stock fix. ATF issued that as a final rule, removing the language added back in 2018 that classified bump stocks as machine guns, matching the Supreme Court's Garland v. Cargill ruling. That one's done, locked in. You can act on that today. Everything else, still proposed. The pistol brace repeal, yes, the big headline item, is a proposed rule, with public comments open through August 4th of this year. Here's the twist. The 2023 brace rule has already been vacated by multiple courts, so braced pistols aren't currently being treated as SBRs in practice. But that's a court-created gray zone, not a permanent fix. This proposal would make it official. That's if it survives the comment process. The Form 4473 retention overhaul, replacing keep forever with a defined 20 or 30-year window, That's also just a proposal. ATF is literally asking the public which number to pick. Then there's joint spousal NFA registration, published May 8th, which would let married couples jointly register a suppressor or SBR with no trust required. Comments closed July 7th of this year on that. And the interstate transport overhaul, eliminating the Form 5320.20 pre-approval wait for trips under 365 days. Comments on that run into early August. And don't forget the Clio notification rule either. Right now, when you apply for an NFA item, a copy of your application automatically goes to your local sheriff or chief of police, whether you want it there or not. ATF has proposed scrapping that requirement entirely. Again, proposed, not final, with its own comment deadline in early July. So here's where that leaves you. Out of 34 actions, 1 is locked in. Everything gun owners actually care about most is sitting in an open comment window that closes within weeks. Why does that gap matter so much? Because a rule that exists only as agency policy can be undone by the next administration with a single memo. No vote, no debate. That is not paranoia. That's exactly how the 2023 brace rule got created in the first place, and exactly why it's still tangled up in court 3 years later. And that's where this gets bigger than gun policy. Think about what just happened here. One agency under one administration can propose rewriting 34 federal regulations in a single day. Rules that directly affect millions of law-abiding Americans' constitutional rights. Today, that power is being aimed in a direction a lot of gun owners like. But ask yourself, is that the system working, or is it just the system pointed the other way for now? 3 years ago, a different administration used this exact same rulemaking process to reclassify braced pistols as illegal short-barreled rifles overnight. No new law passed, no vote in Congress, just a notice in the Federal Register, and suddenly millions of law-abiding owners were told their property might now be a felony. This is the core problem with the administrative state. When your rights depend on which political appointee runs an agency this year, those rights aren't really secure. They're on loan. Property rights, privacy, due process, all of it gets reduced to a regulatory mood swing. And let's be clear here, this isn't a blame on one party thing. Whether it's an agency restricting rights or an agency loosening them, the deeper issue is the same. Too much unchecked power sitting in unelected hands. The real fix isn't a friendlier bureaucrat. It's Congress actually legislating these protections into permanent law, so they can't be erased by the next press release. So what's the realistic path from here? If these proposals don't get enough public comment behind them, expect one of two things. Either they get watered down before finalization, extra conditions, narrower eligibility, or they sit in limbo for years while litigation from gun control groups drag on. And if a future administration flips the other way, these proposals could get withdrawn entirely before they're ever finalized. The same way the 2023 brace rule itself is still stuck fighting in court right now. Here's the domino effect. If rights-related rules can be proposed this fast in one direction, they can be reversed just as fast in the other. That's not a 6-month slow burn. That's a single signature anytime a new director walks through that door. Which brings us to the one thing in this whole story that's actually in your hands. Okay, this is where I need you to actually do something, not just nod along. If you've made it this far, hit subscribe right now, because I track every one of these rule changes as they develop, and you don't want to miss the follow-up when the comment period closes. So here's your action step. Go to regulations.gov, I'll put that right here on the screen. Search the joint spousal registration rule and submit a comment before July 7th. You don't need to be a lawyer. Just say in your own words how this rule would affect you and your family. Specific personal comments carry real weight in the agency's final review. Generic comments get ignored. Do the same thing for the pistol brace repeal and the interstate transport rule before their August deadlines. 3 comments, maybe 20 minutes total. That is the actual price of making this permanent instead of stuck in limbo. This is what self-reliance looks like in 2026. Not waiting for someone else to protect your rights, but putting your name on the record while the window is still open. And before you go, subscribe if you haven't yet, and share this with one person who thinks this story is already over. It's not over by a long shot. It's just getting started. Head over to shesright1776.com and sign up for the newsletter so you get the comment deadlines before they quietly close. Because the rules they can propose in one day, they can withdraw in one day. Don't let your rights stay borrowed.